welcome everyone to the All-in-One Nerd Show. It's been a couple weeks, so I'm very excited to hop back on here finally and talk some Daredevil with my buddy Tyler, aka Illuminati. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I
Good.
my parents visited last week or this week, sorry. Um and it's been a blast. I didn't do anything though, so I'm ready to get back into the groove of things.
Yeah, I've been sick with
Yeah.
tonsillitis, which
How
sucked.
how's
It
that
was
been?
well, I'm pretty much better now, thankfully. Like even
Good.
my energy's back up finally. Like although today's like the first day in like a week, I'd say that I'm really like almost like back to 100%. Like
Good.
even yesterday, I was so sluggish, and I don't know what it was, but um, yeah, it was weird. It was only my right tonsil too that like swelled up and like hurt so bad. Like it got so bad before I swallowed, I would take a deep breath and like make sure I had something to squeeze and just like, oh, it hurt bad, man. It really
Jeez.
did for a couple days there. Um, so that's what I've been dealing with, especially last week. We had to cancel the show because of that. And I was trying to pull through, but I'm like, I don't think I can. I gotta like chill.
What was the treatment? Just some medication or rest?
Yes, some antibiotics. I went to urgent care last Sunday because I'm like, this hurts way too much. I just want to try to get this out of my system already. So yeah, they put me on some antibiotics, and that helped out within like 24 hours. I was feeling not great, but my at least I could like swallow and like you know, yeah. So it was luckily it did not last too long, but man, it was excruciating there for a bit for sure.
Well, I'm
We
happy
have
you're on the other
Captain.
side.
What's that?
I'm happy you're on the other side of it. I mean,
Oh, me too, man.
I
Me
thought I
too.
had tonsillitis before, but the way you're describing it, maybe I haven't. I don't know.
Well, I think it's like it comes along with like if you get strep throat too, like that's when you kind of get
Okay.
it. So, um, and the doctor too, they tested me for like strep, COVID, and then also the flu, and all came back negative. But the doctor looking at my tonsils, she was like, I think it's strep, but it was like a rabbit test too. So she's like, I don't really trust those things. So it must just
Yeah.
not be showing up. I did. There was a icy machine in the waiting room. So I did have a couple ices before I went in to see the doctor.
Nice.
So that may be played a factor in the test results. But we have Captain Underpants here. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. A lot of ice cream, he says. Yeah, I had it was nice after I went to urgent care on Sunday. Because my dad drove me. I was like so out of it. I'm like, Dad, you got to take me. I can't even drive.
Wow.
Um, and afterwards, we were waiting there for a couple hours too before I even got seen. It was super busy. But afterwards, my dad took me to McDonald's. I got a nice milkshake, and that was nice.
Nice.
Um, we have Alex, who's going to be on the channel this Monday. Finally, me and him had tried to work it out. My fault. I had to cancel last week a couple times because of my sickness. So we're doing Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then Alex too. The clocks are moving forward. I think for us because of daylight saving times. I think it's moving forward an hour. So
Yeah.
5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right now may be different for you on Monday. So just be aware of that. But thank you for tuning in for however long you can stay tonight. Um, so yeah, so I've been kind of down and out for a little bit. It sounds like you kind of had been too with your parents visiting, but have you been able to read or watch anything besides Daredevil?
Um, so yesterday I had a binge. I did
Ooh,
Daredevil, both episodes,
nice,
and then I had 2 episodes of Invincible to catch up on. So
nice.
I had a pretty much 4 hours straight of just watching shows. Um, and then I read Duke Volume 1,
Okay,
um, Energon Universe trade
yeah,
paperback. I also read, or reread rather, the Tom Taylor hardcovers. I'm up to, I think, Volume 4. Um, I've said this on the channel before, but I'm taking my Goodreads way more serious. So I'm like committed to get through my collection and rate them on Goodreads. I don't know why. That's my like goal for some reason. So I've been pounding the smaller books like Nightwing and Duke and stuff like that.
Nice. Nice. Awesome. Let's go to the chat here. So we have Jaquel. Thank you for saying. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Jaquel. I think that's how you say it. Sup guys, checking in while I clean. Never heard of y'all, but I saw the DD Born Again discussion and I was like, yeah. Well, I appreciate you being here. We will be
Welcome.
jumping into that shortly here. And then also too, thank you for putting how you pronounce your name. I'm notoriously bad with pronouncing names anyhow. It's just something I'm just horrible with. So if I did butcher your name, even with the pronunciation, I do apologize. Hopefully I was close. Cool. So you've been reading the it was Duke, the Energon universe. Is it
Yep.
that's out in like trade paperback now, correct? Or
Yeah. I
is
mean,
there a
it's getting a
hardcover?
deluxe, but yeah,
Is there?
trade
Okay.
paperback.
Is that a new character or is that like an existing character?
So that's an existing
Um,
character to like GI Joe. He's like the commander of GI Joe. He's like the main character, you know.
okay.
But this obviously this entire Energon resurgence when it comes to Transformers and GI Joe, way more adult centric and way more adult targeted. So like in Duke, I mean, it is like violent. There's some
Oh
serious
wow.
like they really go full on into like the military stuff. So it was
Oh
pretty
nice.
fun. It was a good read.
Cool. Yeah, that's one. I plan on at least getting the Transformers Deluxe of when that comes out of the Energon universe. I am interested in the other installments so far of the Energon universe.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know which ones I'll check out for sure, but definitely the Transformers because that is Daniel Warren Johnson and I really like him. And then you said Nightwing too, correct? By Tom Taylor, those deluxe.
They're standard hardcovers, but yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that's a run I hear a lot about. I don't know. I might check it out eventually, probably online if I were to. Would you
Mhm.
recommend it for me? You think it's something I might enjoy? You kind of know my taste a
Yeah.
little bit. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, your reading style, I don't think it would be like 10 out of 10 or anything like that, but
sure.
I think it could be, kind of hitting the same notes as like Ultimate Spider-Man where it's,
Okay.
very hopeful, feels really youthful and
Yeah.
rejuvenating. There's some romance qualities with,
Okay.
Barbara and Nightwing, so it has a lot of different genres that can either make you feel kind of on the edge of your seat or some warm fluttery feelings.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, maybe I'll check that out digitally eventually. That might be because
Yeah,
I have heard so much about that run and a lot of people really rave about it. So,
yeah.
and
It's
Tom
pretty
Taylor in general.
it's pretty
Yeah.
acclaimed. I would say it's more acclaimed for Bruno Redondo's art, which is like
Okay.
incredible. Some
Gotcha.
amazing stuff there, but I still think the writing's good. It makes Dick Grayson a very prominent character, which I enjoy.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Cool. Let's see. Let's jump into the chat real quick. I've only been reading Transformers, but I have Duke Volume 1. Well, there you go. I guess check it out. You'd recommend it, right, Tyler?
Yes. Yep.
Cool. Cool. And I pronounced your name awesome, Jaquel. Fantastic. I'm glad I pronounced that correctly. Is Void Rivals worth it or not? That's by Kirkman, right?
Yes.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah,
Have
that's
you read that?
yeah, I read volume 1. That's Robert Kirkman's creator own that kind of spun into Transformers and then
Gotcha.
Transformers spun into the GI Joe titles. I was actually going to mention when we were talking about that I think Void Rivals would be a title you would really enjoy.
Okay.
It kind of tackles some touchy subjects, but with like a sci-fi feel
Mm,
behind it, like prejudices and things that are kind of ingrained in population and a society, whether it's backed by science or not, and it it's really good when it comes to like the optics and lens of two opposing sides of a planet and them kind of being at odds. So it's
Right.
really interesting stuff if you can dig beneath the surface layer.
Okay, and I think that's getting deluxe too with Transformers and the rest.
I believe
I
so, yeah.
believe. Yeah. So okay, yeah, I'll definitely check that one out then. Um, what did you think of the recent 2 episodes of Invincible? I did watch those as well, so we can kind of touch on those a little bit.
Um, I am I don't know, I'm kind of indifferent. So the what episodes are we even on? What was the last episode?
I
Was
think
that
7.
okay?
I think 7.
So we would be talking about episodes 6 and 7 pretty much, right?
Yeah, the one with Powerplex, that's 6, I believe, and then 7 was the Invincible War.
Okay. Yeah, so I thought it was pretty well done. The Powerplex storyline was like an issue worth of story when it came to the comics. So I kind of liked that they drew that out because his story really is tragic, and I think it
Right.
being fleshed out added a little bit more weight to it. But then on the flip side of things, episode 7 covered the Invincible War almost to a T as the comics, which I think is super rushed. Like the Invincible War, I think happens in the span of like an issue. Like it's very quick. Deaths happen. You don't really get filled in about them. I mean, in the comics, you don't even see Eve get injured like you did in the show. But
Mhm.
yeah, I wish they fleshed it out more and put a little bit more weight behind that and kind of filled the gaps that the comics didn't. Like I think Invincible War could have been 2 episodes if they did it right. So
Yeah.
I was a little disappointed with that. And then
Okay, yeah.
obviously the ending was phenomenal.
Conquest.
I
Yeah.
wish we waited until the next season to get to that point, but you know,
I think
whatever.
that would have been a hell of a cliffhanger, and I think I talked about it when we first talked about Invincible,
Yeah.
is that's where I kinda thought that, the last episode was gonna end this season, was gonna
Yep.
ju like, the last minute was just gonna tease Conquest, and that was gonna be the start to the, 4th season, so they didn't go that route, which I'm okay with. I am excited to see that fight, and it seems like this season's gonna kinda wrap up more, I guess you could say, and not leave us, like, on a cliffhanger. Um, I know with the Powerplex episode, that one got, like, fans were raving about how good that was, and, like, that was, like, some of the best TV ever, and I wouldn't go that far. I think it was good.
Yeah, me either.
I would not go that far. And I guess as far as Invincible episodes go, I would say it's definitely up there in like, the top probably the top 5, I'd say for me.
Hmm.
But probably, like, 4 or 5, you know? Like, it was definitely a pretty good episode. Uh Probably one of the best of the seasons, and then I did like the latest episode 7, the Invincible War. I thought it was pretty well done. Um, I was surprised at how quick it was, though, how it was an episode, kind of what you were, uh, going towards there. Yeah, I think they easily could have done 2 episodes with this.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't. Um, but I still thought it was pretty well done for the most part. Um,
I
it is
would
interesting. Go ahead.
I would agree overall.
Yeah.
I just think like think about everything that happened during that episode, right? Like that was world changing when it comes to events and Invincible. So it's like it just I feel like there would have been so much more weight behind it if it was fleshed out more, and we got
Right.
we got to see more of the marks and what was taking place. But I don't know. I do think it was well done for what it was though.
Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, so the season finale next week. I'll watch that and we can talk about what we thought about it next show on
Mhm.
Saturday. So, yeah, before we dive in, let me talk about what I've been reading.
Yeah.
I've been reading some prose books. I read this book on a philosophy called existentialism. I don't know if you've ever like heard of that, but it was interesting. It was shorter though, so I like finished that today. Now I'm reading another one about philosophy. That's pretty good. And what was I reading before that? Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. That was a prose book I was reading. Finished that. That was pretty good. As far as comics goes, I read the Marvels. I did the video on that, right?
Yep.
And now I'm reading rereading Criminal again. So I think I'm going to do my next couple videos on. I'll do at least one video on the first trade. I'm on the second trade now of like the deluxe. So those are great. Have you read those? I feel like you've said before you haven't.
I have not, but I do plan to. But
Yeah.
I just need to get to it. Everybody
You,
hoots and hollers. It just
oh
needs to
my
be time.
god. You have those deluxes too, right? Or
No.
no? Oh, dude, you got to get the deluxes, man. Those are
Yeah.
just beautiful, beautiful. So yeah, I'm gonna do a video on the first like story arc, Coward, it's called. And then yeah, I think I'm just gonna read them because I'm really just like on a binge and I'm really enjoying the series. So I think I'm just gonna read them all, like take notes and just stockpile some videos I can release as I go along. But yeah, that's what I've been reading and watching. What have I been watching? I watched Invincible, Daredevil. I watched the Lighthouse by Robert Eggers again. Have you seen that one ever?
With Rob Pattinson and William Dafoe.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and I enjoyed it. I thought the ending was like too avant-garde for me. I was like, this is too weird. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's not hitting the mark. But I really enjoyed most of the film besides like the ending. And I saw Nosferatu finally by the same director, Robert
Ooh.
Eggers. That was pretty good. That was a film that was not like very avant-garde. It was very more like I guess linear traditional storytelling. So if you're not into the more of the artsy fartsy stuff, I would recommend it. It's streaming on Peacock now, I believe, too. Yeah,
Yeah, I
it
do
was
want to
good.
watch that. My wife hates horror movies, so that might have to be
Okay.
one I watch on my own. But
Yeah.
the actors in that are phenomenal.
Yes, the acting was really good. I really enjoyed the main actress, Lily Rose Depp, too. That it was I think it's the first thing I've really seen her in, and
I think so too. Yeah.
she really did a good job. So I recommend that movie. I thought it was great. And I think that's it. I've been watching The White Lotus season 3 that's been coming out. I would recommend you and your wife watch that series. She'd probably like that. If she doesn't like horror. It's not very much. It's not like horror at all. It's more
Yeah.
drama. There is kind of like this murder mystery to it, but such a good show. I love that show so much. Yeah.
Yeah, we're planning on watching this show called Prime Evil on Netflix. Have you watched that before?
I saw it on Netflix. Yeah, I saw the trailer, or I haven't seen it, but
Yeah.
that seems
We've had
interesting.
2 people watch it and say, like, "You need to watch this show, it's phenomenal." So
Isn't
that's on our next list.
isn't that more of like a period piece though? It's like
Yeah.
is it during the Revolutionary War or
I don't exactly know when it is because 'cause I'm not, like, a crazy history buff, but I think it's, like, during, Lewis and Clark era, like,
okay,
uh, Native
so
Americans versus, people that are
cowboys?
colonizing and everything like that,
Yeah,
so
gotcha. Okay, yeah, so probably like early 1800s. You'll have to let me know if you start it this
yeah.
week.
Oh,
You'll
yeah.
have to let me know for next show. Before we dive into Daredevil Born Again, I wanted to start a new segment about news
Yep.
of the week. So we're going to take 10 to 15 minutes, maybe talking about some news that has come out that we have not talked about yet. And let's see. So there's really just two big pieces of news that came out, Marvel or DC, both involving like the movies and the TV
Okay.
shows. So I'll let you choose. Which one do you want to discuss first?
Let's go with DC.
DC. Okay. So recently there's been some pretty big announcements involving some projects. Um, so we have some updates on Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow.
Hmm.
They're halfway done with filming, and that's coming along good. So hopefully we'll get we could get a trailer by like when Superman comes out. When does it release too?
Halfway done with filming? That's
Yeah, they're already
moving
done.
quick.
Yeah, I think they started at the beginning of the year. So
Wow.
yeah, they're flying. No pun intended. That's coming out June 26th of 2026. So I think by the time Superman comes out, it will be a little too early for a trailer. That's about a year out. So probably next fall, when we got the Superman trailer, which was in December, I think. Unfortunately, we don't have any news on like the Brave and the Boys or the Brave and the Bold.
Shout out Jake though.
Shout out Jake and Jordan from the Brave and the Boys. Yes. We don't have any news about that. No casting on the new Batman of DCU. It is confirmed though, which it kind of was before, but I think fans were really like hammering for it, especially after the Penguin. They wanted Robert Pattinson's Batman to be the DCU's Batman, but James Gunn has confirmed that that is not the direction they're going in. Yeah. So kind of sucks. That the Batman Part 2 is slated for October 2027, which is crazy. It was originally supposed to come out this fall, this October 2025. Then it got delayed a year, and then it got delayed again to 2027. But I believe they're starting filming this year, later in the year. So we have that to look forward to. Let's see. We got some show announcements. Let me pull this picture up that I can show. Give me one sec. Share screen. Let's see. Where is it? Here we go. We'll do that. All right. So we got this image from Lanterns, and so we have Hal Jordan and not Jon Stewart.
Yeah, Jon Stewart.
Is it Jon Stewart? Wow.
Yeah, good pull.
Yeah, well, Jon Stewart, he's also a late night TV host. So that's why I was like, it's not Jon Stewart, but I guess it is. Awesome. So I was right. So we got this image here. I think the showrunner or maybe one of the writers came out and said it's very heavily inspired by like True Detective.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's cool for me. I've only seen the first season and I enjoyed it. And then also too, if we zoom in, we do get a look at the ring.
Yep.
It's very blurry, but we do get a little bit of it. So yeah, that's the Lantern show filming now. I think everything is going good with that. Then we got a couple show announcements, which doesn't look like my screen switched over. Give me one sec. Window, there we go. All right, so we have some new show announcements. And I believe these are all animated. I'm not sure what the Superpowers one is, though. Let me see if I can find something on it. But we have Starfire, animated show, and then also My Adventures with Green Lantern in a similar vein as the Superman show.
Yep, which is phenomenal, by the way.
I've not watched it, so maybe I'll have to try to give it a go. But let me see if I can find something real quick on the where is it? No, nothing on the Starfire show. Interesting.
So it does seem like they're doing even more of a new era of DC animated universe too, especially with the My Adventures with Green Lantern title, which I assume is going to be in the same universe as My Adventures with Superman.
Right. Yeah, so that will be cool.
That's awesome.
And we're also getting an animated movie, which was previously announced, Dynamic Duo with Dick Grayson and Jason Todd. That's coming out. And that's done by a studio called Swaybox, and they're going to be using a mix of animation, puppetry, CGI, and live action. So that will be interesting to see how that plays out. Yeah. I am excited for that. That just seems pretty unique.
That's either going to be phenomenal or a hot mess.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I guess we'll see how it plays out. My money would be, I think it will stick the landing. I think it will be interesting. It seems like they have a vision because it's kind of a unique thing to like greenlit. green light, especially this early on. So I imagine there's a clear vision of what they want. And so, yeah, I'm excited for it. I think we'll be good. Other than that, I think that's it for the DC news. Yeah, we got that. We got a couple shows announced. Just a couple updates on some projects that were already previously announced. Actually, there's a Bane and Deathstroke movie in the works. I don't know if we've ever talked about that.
No.
Yeah. So, that's being written by Matthew Orton, who wrote Captain America: Brave New World. Oof,
So
I don't
I'll like
know.
it. You'll hate it.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Although I will say, I mean, Captain America: Brave New World probably had 5 writers on it too.
Yeah, true.
We're getting a Waller TV show still. That it looks like it had a couple setbacks recently. Going back to the Brave and the Bold. So I guess they did find a screenwriter, and James Gunn's working closely with that screenwriter. So that's finally kind of getting off the ground. I think before James Gunn has said that they were having trouble with. Let me stop sharing my screen. There we go. I think James Gunn has said they were having trouble with the script and the story. So it seems like maybe they had that kind of under wraps. And I honestly, at this point, I would not be surprised if we got that before Batman Part 2, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is crazy. Because I believe that Batman Part 2, it is confirmed that it's beginning filming this year, but I might not be correct on it's confirmed. It could just be rumored. So
Do we know what caused the pushbacks as far as that filming process goes? Or
We
at least any
don't.
rumors?
Oh, I think maybe there's some rumors, but I think Matt Reeves has said that he was just having trouble with the story and wanted to make sure he got it right. And I think he said in an interview too, he had some like family stuff going on, that just like some personal stuff that just set back his work.
Okay.
So it could be kind of a mix of 2 things, or a couple different things. So we don't know for sure, but I think there are a couple rumors about that, speculating what's kind of going on there. Additionally, too, Creature Commando season 2 is in development, which I don't know if we've talked about. But I'm looking forward to that. I really liked the first season; thought it was really good. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that quite a bit. And then and a Sergeant Rock movie, which is slated for fall of 2026. There was rumors Daniel Craig was going to be the star, but I think that's since not true anymore. He's not going to be doing it. But there is not just that, but it looks like there's a Oscar-nominated director attached to it, Luca I don't know how to say his last name, but he directed Suspiria, Call Me by Your Name, and Challengers. But yeah, I don't think there's an actor currently tied to the role or anything like that. And they want to begin shooting summer of this year for a release of fall of 2026.
And that's a live action film, or is that a animated?
Yep. No, live action, it looks like. Sergeant Rock. I
Interesting.
did see something that, oh gosh, what's her name? Mikey Madison, who just won Best Actress at the Oscars, is attached to this film. So that will be cool. I did see the movie she starred in, Honora, which was really good. And then the final bit of news I have actually 2 more things. We'll talk a little bit about Superman. But first, Clayface. There's been a lot of buzz around this movie that seems to be really taking off. No actor confirmed for who's going to be playing Clayface. There is a rumor that Daniel Radcliffe was being eyed for it, but now it's also Kieran Culkin, who just won an Oscar as well for Best Supporting Actor. So we're not too sure about that. They did just announce a director. I don't know if it's here. Let's see. No, I can't find a director. I think it just did get announced though. But Mike Flanagan's writing it. but I guess he's not directing it. So
Wow.
yeah, so I'm excited for that one. And then also too, we have Captain Underpants' comments here. Heard rumors about Superman test screenings not going well. Not sure what to make of it. The trailer looked amazing. I believe there was just some like this week or maybe the week before when all this news was dropping that it was the opposite, that there was some test screenings and that it performed really well, and that it's a mix of like Guardians of the Galaxy and then another film I'm drawing a blank on as far as like the humor and emotional style goes. So yeah, I thought I heard the opposite, that it was being really well received so far. I believe there was some test screenings that did perform poorly, but I
Yeah.
think they re-edited it. And the most recent news I've heard, which was like I said, I think last week, it was good, you know. So
Yeah. Everything that I've read has been super conflicting. So
yeah,
I guess take it worth a grain of salt at this point.
yeah. I mean, I think even then, like there are technically rumors still,
Yeah.
you know. So I don't think James Gunn is going to come out and say we just did test screenings and they performed really well. But
I mean, he
maybe
did in an interview say something along the lines, I don't know the exact verbiage, but he said the test screenings like taught him a lot, like stuff he needs to
Mhm.
work on, which is good. You know, you don't want a
Right,
director to come out of test screening and be like, "Well, nope, movie's done. I'm not touching it again." So
right.
I guess we'll see what he actually does.
I guess that's the point of test screenings too, is to see
Yep.
how it performs initially. So that is all the DC universe's news that I have for you. A lot of stuff they threw at us, I feel like. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
So
A lot of it is news to me. I think I saw the Green Lantern picture, Superman test screenings. I was following,
yeah,
and I think that's it. So everything else is
yeah.
new to me.
So yeah, a lot of stuff got announced in the last couple weeks. So if you're a DC fan, you are eating good and will be for the next few years, it seems like. I think they also said too they want to do 2 live action movies, 2 live action shows, and the 2 animated shows each year. So
Wow.
that's a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a lot. And then I think 1 animated film and then 1 animated show. Or maybe it was 2 I don't know.
I
It
just
was
hope they put out video games that are good.
yeah.
That's one thing I'm really hoping for.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of video games, James Gunn, I believe there was a quote by him that said, he is open to a DC style version of Marvel Rivals. So that would be pretty cool. I think what they should do is they should just add the DC characters to the Marvel Rivals games. Do like a crossover event, like they're doing one this summer. Just throw the DC characters in there. It would do fine. It would be good.
Yeah.
You could play as the Hulk against Superman, you know, like that would be sick. Like that's what they should do. They should try to work that out. Um,
That would be so many lawyers, and I don't
yeah,
know if they'll ever play nice again, honestly.
yeah. I don't know. That would be like a dream come true though for me because I think we've both been really enjoying Marvel Rivals, although I haven't played it in like a week because of my freaking illness. But um, yeah, I think that'd be awesome. I really
Yeah.
do.
And the bones are there. I mean, some characters would
Yeah.
translate really well to like a DC character. So,
Oh yeah, a lot of you can probably just copy and paste and reskin for some of those characters. Let's be honest.
I
You
mean,
know
let's be honest, Marvel Rivals did that with Overwatch. I mean, it's just a third
exactly,
person Overwatch.
exactly. So I don't know. I think it'd be cool. Let's see. Bats versus Norman. Norman Osborn, or is there a Norman in the game that I'm drawing a blank on?
Osborne.
Spidey versus Deadshot. Yeah, see, these are like the mashups we could get. Although Norman Osborn and well, Spidey is in the game, but yeah, Norman Osborn, it has not been put into Marvel Rivals. That would be an awesome addition, though, especially with a glider. I love the flying character, so if I can glide around as a Green Goblin, that would be sick. Um, yeah, that would be awesome. I
I
gotta
wonder if that's click on his Charlie's thing.
Charlie S. Sparza. Thank you for tuning in, by the way. I think you're a
Yeah.
first time chatter, so thank you for being here. And I like your Superman T-shirt ripping thing. That's cool. Long range Deadshot versus close range Spidey fight styles. Yeah, I mean Deadshot. You could do like a Black Widow's clone and
Yeah.
rescan it for sure. Like that would play the same. You know, maybe give him like a sword though. That'd be kind of cool. So yeah, there's definitely a few that you could just kind of copy and paste. Marvel news. Let's jump over to some Marvel news first. Smaller news, nothing crazy. Let me share my screen here. Because we got some concept art for Doomsday. Have you seen any of this?
I've seen one, which I'll let
Okay,
you know when you get to it, so I don't spoil it for anybody that hasn't.
gotcha. So we have Star-Lord and the White Vision, who has he did appear at the end of what's it called? WandaVision, right? I think so.
He was in WandaVision. I mean, he was
Yeah.
like,
So they're chilling. They're like bros. I don't know. I think there's a White Vision show coming out still. Not looking forward to that, to be honest. I don't really care for that, but I don't know. We'll see. And then we have the Young Avengers plus Star-Lord and then Wong. And then we have Dupe too right here. That's pretty cool.
yep.
Yeah, so this is a cool shot. I wonder if we'll see this. I wonder. It seems like a stretch for Dupe to show up, but I guess you never know. Who knows?
Yeah, and Young Avengers with Star-Lord. I mean, how does that even happen? I don't even know, but
Maybe he'll be like the leader or something of the Young Avengers, but because he's kind of immature at heart. I feel like, right? So we'll see. No, I gotta go. Oh yes, I'm sorry. We'll be done in like 5 minutes though. I've been avoiding these leaks so hard. I'll check back. Perfect. Yes, we'll be done in like 5 minutes. Dupe being in there caught me by surprise. I know. I think it caught everyone by surprise. Dupe
that's a
being in
wild
there.
card. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know much about Dupe, to be honest. I never read, what was it? Ecstatics. I think
Yeah.
that's what, never read that. So I don't know. Why did the Thing leave the Fantastic Four? He was taken for granite. Is he in any of these concepts?
No, I think he's just dropping a
He's making
joke.
he's making a joke. I
Yeah.
see. All right, let's go back here and let's go through some of these. Start slideshow. There we go. All right, so we got this shot of the Young Avengers plus Star-Lord and Wong and Dupe. They look to be on some like foreign planet. I guess any planet's technically foreign, so I don't know why I added that. But
Yeah, is that Wong up by the camera?
right here, yep,
Hmm.
yeah. So
Who's that in the
interesting
background
lineup.
between Hawkeye and Speed?
What's that?
Who's that between Hawkeye and Speed?
This is Ant-Man's daughter. I can't remember.
Oh,
Cassie
okay.
Lang, I think.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. So yeah, and then we got Miss Marvel. I never finished that show, but I will say I did like this actress here.
Hmm.
So I think that's pretty cool. And then we got Kate Bishop, and then we got I can't remember these characters' names. Scarlet
Wiccan
Witch's
and Speed.
kids, Wiccan and Speed.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. So yeah, kind of cool. And I don't think Speed. There's been like a casting announcement yet. I don't think he showed up in.
I would assume he's going to be the same if he appears. Obviously, he would be the same actor from WandaVision.
Okay. And then we have this. We have Hulk being. It looks like he's like more like the Hulk now. So he's like back to his regular self, I guess. So that's kind of cool. We got She-Hulk here, then we got whatever this guy's name is. I can't remember.
Looks like
Hulk's son.
Hulk Planet, and maybe they're going to be pulling from the Donny Cates run. That's what it kind of looks like to me. But
That'd be kind of cool. But yeah, that'd be interesting to see. It looks like kind of looks like Game of Thrones-esque, and some of these other ones do too. So I like that. I think that's interesting. And like this one kind of looks like Game of Thrones-esque too.
this
So
is the one I saw.
yeah, so we got Doctor Doom there.
Emperor Doom. He has the white cloak. Emperor
Yeah.
Doom.
So that's cool. I like it. We'll see how that plays out, I guess. I do like the Game of Thrones style they're going for with, although I feel like the country that Doctor Doom runs, Latveria, is that it? Or no?
Latveria, yeah.
I feel like that's like medieval-esque anyhow, naturally. Like that's kind of the aesthetic of it a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. I do wonder if these screenshots are like Secret Wars is going to be obviously Secret Wars 2015, and this is going to be like the Battle World amalgamations, like a Hulk world or a Hulk segment of Battle World and a segment of Battle World that Emperor Doom rules and et cetera, et cetera. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be cool. And then we have Black Panther here, a different actor playing Black Panther. I can't remember his name. Let's see if it's down here. Okay, right here. Damson Idris. Hopefully, I'm saying that right. I don't think it's confirmed or anything, but I think it's heavily rumored based off of this, and then also just leaks and whatnot. So we may be getting a recast of Black Panther, I guess. So that will be kind of cool. I don't know. He looks like
that still that's pretty good. Looks good
yeah.
to me.
He looks he looks like he can play Black Panther. So awesome. And then let's see. That's it. So that is the Marvel leaks, I guess, or news. What do you make of that overall? What do you think?
DC, pretty exciting. I've always liked DC animated stuff, so I'm probably most excited for my adventures with Green Lantern. I think that's going to be awesome. The Marvel stuff, I don't really know what to make of it. I mean, we're so far removed from like the grandiose plan and where we're going to get when we get to the finish line that I mean, I don't know what any of that means. I don't think anybody does. So,
well, I think Doomsday is coming out. It's going to be the next film after Fantastic Four, I believe. I think it's coming out spring of 2026 or summer of 2026. So it's really not too far away. Yeah. I believe. I could be wrong, but I think it is the next film after Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four. It's the next one up.
Oh yeah, maybe that's the one that I was like, oh, we're missing something. Was Thunderbolts?
Yeah.
Which I gotta say, I am kind of pumped for. I don't know why, but the most recent trailer that came out was pretty wicked. I mean, I know it's a trailer, so like,
sure.
What do you get from it? But I liked the cinematography of it.
I've only seen the trailer. Did we never reacted to a trailer for Thunderbolts, did we? I don't think so.
I think we did, but I don't remember.
I don't know. I saw the first trailer anyhow. Yeah, I'm not like pumped for it, but I'm more excited to see it than like Captain America for sure. It seems a little bit of higher quality, if you will. And I like
you are right. Yeah, July 25th, 2025, and then Doomsday is May 1st, 2026.
Yeah, so pretty close.
Wow.
So, and I don't know if filming's begun. I would imagine it has, but then again, who knows? Yeah, I feel like Marvel is in desperate need of a Avengers movie too. To be honest,
yeah,
they definitely need that. So it'll be cool to see. I will say. So yeah, that's going to do it for news for this week. Now let's talk a little bit about Daredevil, Born Again, episode 1 in particular. Before we really dive into the nitty gritty, I want to ask you, Tyler, what are your initial thoughts after watching this?
I'll tell you, me and my wife's. We
Okay.
are very hopeful for the MCU after watching.
Interesting. Okay. I would say I'm about the same for the MCU. I'm not super hopeful. I would say, yeah, I think maybe you enjoyed it a little bit more than I did based off of that.
Really? I thought this was up your alley.
We'll get into it. I have a lot of notes for episode 1. Episode 2, I only have a few notes because I didn't like episode 2 that much. Thought it was boring. But with Captain Underpants couldn't even finish the first episode. So
What?
you're like in the same. I finished the first 2 episodes for sure. I will say I will probably watch this weekly. I will say that. Or if not, I will definitely finish the first season at some point. Whether I may wait to binge it all, but I may watch it weekly if I'm that bored. They are setting up so much. I love the
Thank you.
slow
Okay.
burn.
I got somebody in my camp at least.
You do. Okay, so we'll dive into that too. Maybe you can fill me in on some of the stuff maybe I missed that they're setting up. I mean, so a lot of things flies right over my head, just like this joke earlier that flew over my head. I did think it was a joke, I will say that, but I was like, oh, maybe I missed something. But good joke, Charlie. Anyhow, thank you. So Daredevil Born Again, episode 2. Let's talk about I guess the first 10 minutes are quite shocking. So spoilers, I should say that if you have not
Yeah,
watched the
big,
show.
big spoilers. Big
Yeah,
spoiler.
big spoilers. So tell me, what did you think of like the first 10 minutes? I have a lot of notes about the first 10 minutes too, to be honest.
Are
I
you
think
kidding?
I do. Not all bad. I will say that, not all bad,
Okay.
but I do have some notes. So tell me tell me your thoughts.
Um, I really liked it. I thought it started with a bang, which I
It
really
quite literally
enjoyed.
did.
And yeah, you didn't have to wait for
Right.
action or anything to get the blood pumping. Um, Obviously, the major thing that happens, which I feel so dirty being the one to like say it, but
Do you want me to do it for you?
no, I can do it.
Okay.
So Foggy Nelson gets murdered
Yes,
by
go
the
ahead.
likes of Bullseye.
Yep.
Um, I thought it was heart racing. I loved the cinematography of the fight scene between Daredevil and Bullseye in the
Wow.
bar. Bullseye doing what he was doing in season 3, just whipping daggers and pool balls and anything he can get his hands on because everything's a weapon. Um, Beating the crap out of Daredevil while Daredevil's beating the crap out of him. But I really, really enjoyed it. The 2 aspects that I didn't like as much was the Bullseye costume. Um, I've already seen set photos of it, so I knew what I was getting into, so it didn't bum me too much. But I just think Bullseye's costume is so simplistic and ground level that like we could have got something that resembled his comic book costume, but that's just me. And then the only other thing that kind of bogged down the scene for me was the CGI during the rooftop scene.
Mm,
I thought it was a little rough.
yeah.
I did not think it was great by any means, but overall, I thought the first 10 minutes were pretty kick ass. I mean, I thought it started with a bang, really made my wife specifically be like, what the heck's going on? Is he really dead? And then Karen Page and the friction between that gets built between her and Matt Murdock and the Matt Murdock and Daredevil personas kind of being revealed to Cherry, who is now a very important character. Yeah, I loved it. I really did.
I'm glad you did. I will say I did not love it that much. I I I don't hate that they whacked Foggy though. I think that was ballsy, and I actually enjoy that.
I
I
agree.
do love Foggy as a character, but I do respect that they went in guns blazing. So I really did enjoy that. I think, however, I don't enjoy the way the show was structured. Like, unless you just watched the first 3 seasons of Daredevil on Netflix, there wasn't too much emotional impact when Foggy died. Like, the acting in that scene, I thought it was okay. I thought it was a little cringy at times too with Paige or Karen Page. I was like, this is and then Matt too, like screaming. I'm like, this is not working for me. Yeah, it just did not work. But anyhow, they should have really, I think they should have waited till the end of the first episode to kill Foggy, right? We can use this first episode to get reacquainted with the characters. You know, we can Foggy. He can be very. He can do something very that makes us like love the character and feel very like emotional. Whether it be just like being a good lawyer and helping out people who are poor. I don't know. Um, and then they kill him off. I think it would have been way more effective. And then the second episode, and I know where I'm saying a lot here, but I think the second episode there should have been 0 Matt Murdock, no Karen Page. Just end it with that. The second episode should have been all about Kingpin and his rise to being mayor. I think that was way too rushed. Now I'm glad they didn't like wait to like. I'm glad they didn't do like the mayor election like the whole season or whatever. Like I'm glad
Yeah.
they were just like, he's mayor at the end of the first episode. Like I'm glad. So I do kind of like it, but it's kind of a double-edged sword for me where I do wish they could have used at least an episode to like make us see why he won. Like we don't really ever get to see that. Obviously, right, not going into politics here, but I think it's very clear that there is a comparison to be made between Fisk and Donald Trump and his kind of ride. Like
Yeah.
they're not politicians, they're outcasts kind of of the political world, if you will. But yet they are popular, right? And Donald Trump, you can chalk that up to his charisma, I guess you could say, or him just being able to like work a crowd essentially. But even like we saw Fisk in a debate, but even there, I'm like, he's not charismatic or anything. Like he's very serious. So I think we should have got a little more time. His rise to power or political power in winning the election, like that should have been the whole second episode. They should have
Yeah.
totally restructured it.
You
Uh,
wanted a little bit more of the why rather than it just is.
yeah, like you know, and they tried to like sprinkle in like New Yorkers' reaction to like why people may like him and whatnot. But I wanted more of that. Like we didn't get enough of that in my opinion.
Yeah.
Um, so like I said, if I was the showrunner, I would have ended the first episode with Foggy being killed. Boom, end. Then you do second episode, no Daredevil, no Matt Murdock, just Wilson Fisk and his relationship to the city and whatnot. I think it would have been a lot stronger and a lot more ballsier too. Um,
Yeah.
so that's what I wish we got overall. But I guess going back to the first 10 minutes of the show, I will say uh the CGI looked horrible. Like the shot of Daredevil going up like the fire escape. I'm like, this is awful. This looks like early 2000s shit. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
That just, I was like, well, okay.
I also
Uh,
didn't like that they tried to like hide it with darkness. Like, did you notice that?
or fog. That's my next
Yeah.
point. The amount of freaking fog, really, in the first episode is like, what is the city's not this foggy? Okay, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, it's not.
You're like, I'm
Okay,
from New York. I don't see this much fog.
well, I'm from upstate, but I have been down to the city, and it's definitely not that foggy. All
Yeah.
right,
Yeah, I think it's a
too
bit
much fog.
revealing that they covered some of those CGI scenes with so much darkness. Like if you got to do that,
Yeah,
you should probably just go back to the chalkboard and try again, you know?
yeah, for sure. And there was some weird dubbing with Foggy, I noticed, like right before he got shot when he was outside the bar or whatever with Karen. Is that her name? Karen Page, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was some weird dubbing with his voice, and it just sounded off. I'm like, "What?" It just took me out of it for a sec. Um, some weird music choices throughout just the entire first episode, I thought. I'm like, "This just is
Really?
not working for me." The movements overall, going back to kind of the CGI of Daredevil, it looked bad. It looked not great. Um, I thought the fight with Bullseye, right? That's his name too, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why I can't remember any of these characters' names. I thought that was mediocre at best. It was not
What?
well done. Compared to what we got with, like, the Netflix shows, very bland,
I
very
mean,
bland.
I do agree with that. I mean, I do think the Netflix series did fight scenes better, but I try
Yeah,
not to compare, you know, I just take it for
yeah.
what it is, and it was a good action sequence, for
I
me at
even
least.
even without the comparison, I would argue it was not that great. It was too far too dark in that bar. You could not see really what was going on. Yeah, it was not doing it for me. The costume for Bullseye, like, what was that?
I don't know about that, yeah.
Horrible. Like, what are we doing? What a I don't know.
There was
So there was a
no
lot.
white on the costume. They took the blue and paired it with orange. Why orange? Where'd we get orange from?
I don't know. I don't know. It horrible, horrible. It was bad.
Yeah.
And yeah, the scream with like Matt at the end, horrible. With him like holding Bullseye before he like throws him off the roof. He's like,
I
oh,
liked that.
I'm like,
I thought it was
what the
so
hell is
visceral and
this?
raw.
I hated it. I thought it was cringy. I'm like, this is bad. I hate
I
this.
specifically love the scene where he like goes head to head with Bullseye, like even leans his head on Bullseye's head and is just repeating why. Like he just can't like fathom that his friend just died. And I thought it was really emotional and you know sometimes the truth behind that is people that experience death so intimately, I mean, sometimes the stuff they're doing on paper is cringy, but it's just such a emotional response, you know. So I that's sometimes how I take it. Just like somebody in a crying scene that's like, you
Mhm.
know, boogers are coming out of their nose or they're
Yeah,
salivating, you know, it's like that just feels raw and human, you know. It's not going to be always cool, you know, sitting in the corner brooding because your best friend
sure.
got shot, you know.
I see what you're getting at. I do. For me, it still doesn't necessarily work here, though. I yeah, I get where yeah, I get it, though. I get it, though, I will say that. Let me jump to some of the comments here before I get too far behind. Foggy was murdered as fuck, just to be more specific, LOL. Very true. We could definitely say that.
Yeah.
Yes, the CGI was very Disney Plus, and the rest cinematic dolly zoom for Matt's senses, etc., were very good. I will say, I
Yep.
did like how they showed Matt's senses. I thought that was pretty good, especially like in the first like 10 minutes in the bar. I was like, okay, that's cool. I like that. That's something redeeming about it.
That's what I was gonna get into more during episode 2, but I
Mhm.
thought, the senses, the audio of, like, you know, to depict what Matt is picking up on, like, specifically the footstep scene when he's following that cop, like,
Right.
I loved the audio of that and how they depicted that, and I also did like the score for the entire, film. The music choice, any of the super, like, heart racing scenes and stuff, I really liked it, even though you didn't, but I did.
I do like the original theme. I will say that.
Yeah.
Uh, I think that's yeah, I think that's great. Um, I agree, Labursky. I just finished the first 3 seasons, so it hit me. But new viewers, I agree, we didn't earn Foggy's death. Yeah, I don't think if you're a new viewer watching this, yeah, you will be like, "Who the hell's Foggy? I don't even know who this is." Now, granted, I think a lot of Marvel fans who are watching this have seen the first 3 seasons, so they
Yeah.
know who he is, or the first like 1 season at least. But I think we needed to be like reminded why we love Foggy so much, even
That's
for
what
viewers. who have seen the first 3 seasons. We needed that reminder. Yeah,
That's what I
I
was gonna say. Like, I agree and disagree. Like, obviously, we think most people that watch the first 3 seasons are the ones that are tuning into this, but, like, I think a refresher wouldn't have hurt even for them, you know? Like, hey,
mhm,
Foggy's this important guy that, they're best friends. They, grew up in college at least together and became lawyers and are trying to save the world one client at a time. I think that would have been a nice, like,
right.
fast-paced refresher.
Yeah. No, I think so. I think so for sure. Going back to the slow burn, I believe we'll get more of the whys this season. The next season goes on. You could be right. I kind of
Yeah.
hope you are, because I do think we need more of that why. Why Fisk works so well for the people of New York at this time. Why they elected him. I think we need more of that. And I mean, it only takes up like half the first episode. It felt very rushed. Um, like I said, it's kind of a double-edged sword. Like, I'm glad that was not. I was worried that was going to be like the whole first season of him and like the election and campaign. But I'm glad they kind of skipped that. But I do think we needed a full episode dedicated to that. I think it would have
Yeah.
just worked a lot better. Um, Captain Underpants, the CGI was bad, but something about the acting, the way people were reacting to the fight was strange. Interesting. Okay. Um, I don't know so much about the people reacting to the fight was strange, but yeah, yeah, interesting. Um,
He may be referencing, like, people when they were fighting, there's a lot of people kind of standing around maybe, and
okay.
I did kind of notice that too, especially when Daredevil throws Bullseye through the double doors into the billiard room, but
Mhm.
I blamed that on they were, like, disoriented because of the smoke bomb that, Bullseye threw, but
Can we just talk about for a second how Bullseye is either not dead or brain dead? Like, I'm pretty sure he lands right on his head, and that's like at least 3 or 4 stories from that roof.
that's how he is in the comics, man. I mean, he's unkillable, and he has metal antimonium plating in his head, and I mean, he is put together by modern medicine, and he keeps living.
I don't know. It was a bit too far fetched for me there because I don't think it's established in the show, in the Netflix show even that he is like full of like metal and it makes sense why he's like. Well, I could be wrong, but like I said,
I
I'm not
think they
sure.
might, but I only
Okay,
vaguely remember that.
gotcha. Okay, yeah. I don't know. Still, I think it's just too far fetched for me. Way too far fetched. Um, so keep in mind the first episode and episode 3 through 8 or 12 were reshot. This wasn't part of the original plan, so some of it was kind of meshed together last minute.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that would make sense. That would make sense. Wait, Labruski, I'm in Albany. I'm located in Syracuse, so not too far. Um, I actually, sidebar, I was thinking about moving to Albany at one point. I think I'm not going to, but I was thinking about it at one point. I think I want to move to like Buffalo. I'm totally doxing myself here. Don't do that. Don't dox yourself like me. No, I'm just anyone want to know my
Hey, what's
street
your
address?
social security hour?
Yeah. Uh, let me write down my address for the chat here. Oh my gosh. Uh, Also, how quickly Foggy was offed hints at him maybe not being permadead.
Yep.
How can they bring him back though?
So in the comic books, which I was explaining this to my wife, which I
Mhm.
don't think they'll go this route, obviously, because it's even more far fetched. But Daredevil went into hell and pulled Foggy out. So I don't think we're gonna go that route.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
but yeah, that's what took place in the comic
Why was
books.
he in hell?
Read Chip Zdarsky's run. That's all I'm gonna say.
All right. Wow.
It's recent enough and it's solid. I don't want to do anything or give anything away.
Okay. All right. That's interesting though. Poor Foggy. Oh my gosh. Yes, standing around took me out of it. I know it's a small thing, but I don't know. You know, it's funny. I was literally last night, I was listening to Conan O'Brien's podcast that he had on with the guy from Severance, Adam Scott, and they were talking about background actors and how important background actors are. Like if if you look at the background and characters are doing things out of place, it's going to be jarring for the scene. So here, I guess here's another example. Although I will say that part didn't take me out. I will say that season 3 finale shows Bullseye under the knife getting how do you say that? Cadmium plating in his spine. Well, how do you say it?
Cadmium? I don't know.
Cadmium, maybe. Yo, DDM Studios, thank you for tuning in. I hope you're doing well. We are talking about Daredevil Born Again, episode 1 at the moment. Another was him faking his death with the help of Vanessa to get back at Matt and Fisk. I don't think that will happen. That maybe. I don't know.
But a fake death, I mean, that could be a ploy we're getting into. I
will say I would not like that if his death was faked. I would hate that. That would take the guts they had out of it. I'd be like, this is so stupid. What are we doing? That really would piss me off. I'll be honest. Not piss me off, but
it would depend how they play it.
I think any way they play it, I think it would take me out of the show and really turn me off from it. I'll be honest. Yeah, I don't know. DDM Studios, I mean, why not go that route? The previous show is canon now, which I don't know why they say it is now. And Daredevil shows up at everything. It's the MCU bullshittery. It can happen. I think you're referring to Foggy coming back, I believe. I mean, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess you can make the argument, why not go that route? For me, I think it would be a turnoff from the show. It would lessen the stakes, if you will.
I don't know. I mean, I think it would depend on how it's played, because they are going very crime courtroom heavy, it seems, at this point. So I think while this is going to be a Daredevil show, I think we're going to see a very aggressive in the courtroom Matt Murdock. And I mean, this is type of stuff that sometimes can get people incriminated. So I mean, I don't think it's outside the realm of reality even. So I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. But
I mean, look at Dark
Knight. But what would be the motive? Like, would Foggy be the one to fake his death? Would somebody bring him back? Like, what? That just seems too far out there for me.
It could be Matt. I mean, you got to, for example, Dark Knight, we had, Jim Gordon faking his death to catch Joker, and, I mean, this would be kind of in that same realm. And I don't think it would be outside the box of realism, at least.
But weren't we in on the fact that Jim Gordon faked his death, or no? Okay. All right. I feel like Foggy's no Jim Gordon, though. I'll be honest. It makes more sense from a storytelling standpoint that Jim Gordon would try to fake his death, and it made sense,
Yeah.
Foggy, on the other hand, especially it's been a year. Like, what's the point? I don't know.
I mean, I think imagine an episode that fills in that year gap and shows how this was built up from, top to bottom. Maybe even, we're going to go the Charles Soule Daredevil run route where, Matt Murdock is only posing as a defense lawyer, but really he's, more a prosecuting lawyer trying to go after Fisk. And this is all just a ploy to get into Fisk's good graces and become almost like a double agent or something. I mean, I don't know. I think if it's played right, it could work. I don't refute you saying it doesn't work for you in general. I'm just, in my side, I just think it depends on how the pieces are played.
All right. Yeah. I don't know. I guess it can be done, but it would be tough for me to be convinced it will be done well, to be honest. All right. Let me I agree. It would be a turnoff as well. Yeah, for sure. Agree. You would have to really make Foggy coming back work. He'd need to come back season 2 at bare minimum. I think it is confirmed that he's coming back in season 2. The actor, obviously, probably I would assume a flashback, but maybe he's just coming back. Who knows? Alexander Miller's here, aka the Comic Central. What's up, dude? Hope you're doing well. It's a fact that MCU is very prominent now that it realistically should work.
What is it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Bring that back up. Back that's man.
Yeah, I don't know. Labruski going against the dog. Maybe he's referring to Omni Dog, who I think's live now. I think that's maybe what he's referencing. I think he's live. He joined the dark side, Harvey. I did, yes. Foggy just can't be dead. Alexander, he's convinced that Foggy's not dead. All right.
Yeah, he is.
Can I just say, what's that?
Yeah, he is live. Whoops.
Don't go watch his show. Watch our show, though. Do not support Omni Dog. I guess you can after our show's done, but until then, don't support Omni Dog. Harvey Picar's Ghost. Can I just say real quick that I was yelling at my screen right at the beginning when Karen just stood there in the line of fire instead of going inside the building right behind her. That's fair. I feel like she's no stranger to gunfire and that. So I guess you can make the argument she's more used to like being in the crosshairs, but still you would think maybe she would try to, I don't know, survive.
I don't know. Shock is a hell of a thing. I think
that's true too.
Watching someone's heart explode in front of your face could make you do some weird things.
You think?
Yeah.
You think it could? Yeah, you're probably right. Theory: Vanessa hires Bullseye to kill Foggy to get Matt to think that Fist broke his deal. She tries to get him to attack Fist and gets them out of the way so she can be the queen pin. Interesting. I kind of like that theory. That's a cool theory. Literally, the door was 2 steps behind her. Very true. I got into it and suspended my disbelief for the rest of the 2 episodes, though. I liked it. I'm surprised you liked it. I'll be honest. You tend not to like anything Harvey Picar's Ghost. So I'm surprised. Daredevil stories don't work without Foggy to an extent. Yeah, we'll see how it plays out.
We'll see I disagree, but I don't think he's dead, but I don't think Foggy is a must.
So you don't think he's dead?
The more and more I keep thinking about it, now that we're talking about it, I think I'm going to sit in that camp. I think he's not dead.
Okay. Maybe I'll eat crow and say after it does work, maybe I'll be like, they did it. It did not pull me out of it. It did work. But I will say if it does happen, I think it's more likely that it will not work,
Yeah, I did want to take the optics of I'll just wait and see, but I also think it'll be really interesting the dynamic of you thinking he is dead and then me thinking he's not dead, and now we get to see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
So for the sake of argument, I'll be in that camp also.
We'll see what happens. I do really like Foggy and the actor who plays him. So
I do too.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Charlie Cox, who plays Daredevil, and Matt Murdock, he said he teased kind of something big was going to happen and that he didn't really even agree with it and wasn't sure how it was going to play out. So obviously it was in reference to this now that we know what happened.
Yeah.
So I don't know. If she is more used to being in the line of fire, she would have better dealt with the shock and have known to seek cover, Labruski. All right. That is a good argument too. That by that point, she should be used to the shots and know what to do in that situation. So yeah, the narrative that I don't like things is very overblown and inaccurate. I don't think that's true. I think it's pretty known that you don't like things.
Yeah,
it's a known fact, man. If I didn't procrastinate, then Labruski and I would have our thoughts on Daredevil Born Again within an hour, but my video will premiere tomorrow. Awesome. Awesome. I'll try to check it out. I really enjoyed the idea that people could be watching the Mayor Kingpin arc in disgust, thinking they shoehorned social commentary in, while the truth is this story and was in the comics before.
Yep.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. I do think, however, they are definitely pulling from
Yes.
real world events. I mean, why
Yeah.
wouldn't they at a certain point?
Or it could just be a matter of, life imitating art type of thing.
Mhm.
Maybe we think they're mirroring it and really it just is kind of happening that way. But I would agree
Yeah.
with you when it comes to that, though.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for this convo, guys. I've been trying to talk about this stuff with someone, and nobody I know cares this much. We do care about this stuff for
Yeah.
sure. So you found the right place. I'm happy you're here. I love that Labruski gives me a shout out every time I join a live stream. I feel like I'm obligated to. I don't know why I do it either, but I guess help you out, Alexander, aka the Comic Central. All right, I guess we'll kind of wrap up our thoughts on the first episode. Let me see, what other things do I have? Okay. The title sequence. I feel like we haven't talked about that. Let's kind of touch on that. What do you think about it?
What do you mean as far as the title sequence?
So like the
intro?
The intro, yeah. With the music and the credits, I guess, the beginning
I think
credits.
it's interesting. I mean, I think very similar to any intro. It may or may not be alluding to things, but
Yeah.
I think we'll only really know once those things happen and we're like, "Oh, that's what that means."
Yeah, well, I think it's also kind of alluding to the fact that Matt Murdock is no longer Daredevil and that he will be Daredevil again, right? Because I
Yeah.
think the last shot is this crumbled statue being rebuilt essentially
Yep.
into Daredevil. So I think that's kind of symbolizing that, and I'm sure some other things as well. I thought it was pretty good. I don't like it as much as the Netflix one with like the red paint or whatever.
Yeah.
I thought that one looked a bit better, but it's definitely in the same vein, and I think it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll like you said, I'm sure there's some things in there that will make more sense after we know the first season what happens. Let's see. Labruski, I like so many things. I couldn't even list them all. I bet you could. I bet you could list them all. I bet there's like 5 things maybe that you like. Do you even like American Splendor and Harvey Picar? Like I'd be curious to know that if you actually like Harvey Picar. It's not read with a worse score in my opinion. I thought the score was about the same. I didn't really notice a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same caliber. I did like the red a little bit more, but
Yeah.
knowing the Born Again story, being crumbled and then coming back, I think that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. I really like them using one of my favorite songs as the ending for the first episode. What was the ending song? I can't even remember what it was.
I don't know. I mean, it was good. I know
Let
that,
me
but
try to look it up. Song in Daredevil. Daredevil episode 1. Let's see. Looks like DLZ. I don't know. It didn't leave an impression.
Staring
We'll
at the
see.
Sun by TV on the radio.
Okay, I guess it wasn't DLC then. I don't know. Okay. Let's see what else. I really like them. Okay, I read this just now. The title of my video on Born Again is "I'm Disappointed." Well, why are you disappointed, Alexander Miller?
I fear that title may not be. That's going to be a probably a saturated title. I feel like there's going to be 2 camps here. People are going to hate
Maybe
it, or they're going to like it.
I think you need to you really need to either lean in one way or the other. Be like, I fucking love this show as the title. Or I fucking hate it. I loathe this show.
Yeah.
You know, you really got to lean into it for the clickbait.
Or if you really want to get them, say, I love the show. And then the entire show, you're just like
Just
crapping on
bash
it.
it. Just bash it. That's funny. The angelic voices were dope. I don't really remember any angelic voices. Do you?
During the opening?
I'm not sure.
If he's
I
talking
don't know.
about the opening, I feel like I do. But if he's talking about another scene, I was not locked
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, I was not locked in either. Jaquel, let us know then, please. I hope this isn't just a trope where they have the same song at the end of every episode. I prefer when music is more organically inserted. I don't know. I mean, did they use that song at the end of the first or second episode? I don't think so,
I don't think so, no.
but maybe. Because the show's worse than the original series, which is my favorite TV show ever. It's a good one. I will say that. It's a good one. Not my favorite show ever, but it's a good one. LOL. Sorry, the opening score had some pretty cool angelic voices or humming. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really notice that either, to be honest. I was not locked in, I guess. But I'll take your word for it. If you say they were dope, I believe you. I take your word for it. Comment. I didn't say the same song. Did he not?
Some song.
Okay. All right. I apologize. There's one other scene I want to talk about in the first episode, and then I think that's really all I have to say about the first episode.
Yeah, I have a feeling
Other
you're going to
than
mention the same scene I want to talk about.
Yeah, I will say another thing that I did not like that I noticed, way too many lens flares throughout this episode. I was like,
Yeah.
what is going on? They like just picked something and stuck with it. I'm like, you should not have done that. Like, it was a lot. I mean, like, this seems like Michael Bay-esque with
Yeah.
the lens flares. Like, what is happening? So that's something I was like, there's just too much. I don't know.
You're waiting for a transformer to come out.
I know, for real. So yeah, that's just another small like nitpick, I guess you could say. But the scene that really made this episode for me, I will say, was the diner scene with Matt and Kingpin, Wilson Fisk. Is that not the scene you were gonna say?
No, it was not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I really enjoyed this scene, them like reconnecting finally. I thought it was really well done. There clearly it's very well acted, right? Because the tension's there. Like these two people, they're I feel like they're not saying everything they mean, you
Yeah.
know? They're like, okay, we'll play nice. We'll see how this goes. But I think they both know it's probably not going to end well.
Yep.
I thought it was really well done. And I believe it was before Wilson Fisk wins the election, I believe.
Yes.
I think it's like
Yep.
when he's still on the campaign trail. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really well done scene between them.
Yeah, I think the highlight of that scene is right there at the end where, again, not the proper verbiage, but they pretty much just say to one another, like, stay in your lane or I'm going to be there. And that was like chill inducing.
Yeah, because Wilson Fisk, it seems like he kind of won and ran on the fact that he was like, no more vigilantes and whatnot.
Yep.
And now Matt Murdock's in this place where he's not a vigilante anymore, and he is just kind of an attorney. So, yeah, they very much want each other to stay in their lane. As far Matt just does not want him to be corrupt in this villain of a guy. And he seems to have changed, I guess. I don't know if that was more dived into in the Echo show that I didn't watch.
Yeah.
Where he's in that, I guess. I don't know. Did you watch that one or no?
I did, but when we were like talking while the show was on, I mean, I can't tell you a single scene that happened in there. So watched, but very, very forgettable.
Gotcha. Yeah. So So for whatever reason, he's had like a change of heart, it seems like, and I don't know. Um, but yeah, I think the tension was really well done in that scene. The acting, I thought it was great. I just love the setting too of it being this like crummy New York City diner. It just makes
Yeah.
perfect sense for these characters. Um, yeah. So that's kind of the scene that made it for me. But you were going to mention a scene. What was that scene?
I
I'm
also wanted
curious.
to mention during that scene how they
Yeah.
start it when they both mention how they're both from Hell's Kitchen and they rather be at that other diner that they both frequented and stuff. That was pretty cool.
That yeah. It was
Like
closed, right? Or something, or
I think they just weren't in Hell's Kitchen anymore. They don't spend time there
okay.
anymore. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
But it was
Because
like one of those things where it's like, similar upbringings, but different projections. One's
right.
obviously becoming a vigilante, the other
They've
one's a crime lord. It was
they've,
really
uh,
cool.
they've leveled up a little bit, I guess you could say
Yeah.
too, now.
Yep.
Where Matt, he does seem to be a, more high profile attorney in New York
Yes.
City, and Kingpin's now the mayor, right? Um, so yeah, that is interesting. I think that diner was mentioned at another point in the episode too, I believe. And I thought it was referenced that it closed or something, but I could be wrong. But
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
yeah. Um, but yeah, no, that's good too. So what's the scene that you want to mention in the
So
moment?
the scene that made it for me and what definitely made me want to watch the second episode was the final scene. Fisk wins being
Mhm.
mayor and he's on the rooftop looking down at the city celebrating. And Matt is down in the city amongst the chaos and anarchy that's kind of happening behind him. And, he just puts away his cane and just starts walking, kind of looking up in towards the high rises that Fisk is now kind of a part of.
Right.
And I thought it was awesome with the lighting, the red on Matt Murdock's face and the darkness kind of on Kingpin's. And then just the fact that he put away his cane and you knew, even though he wasn't wearing the costume, that wasn't
Mm,
Matt Murdock anymore. That was Daredevil
right,
staring up. And
okay.
it was like, again, another chill inducing scene where I was like, I'm definitely jumping right into episode 2.
Interesting. Okay, see, I didn't pick up on that. Yeah,
Yeah.
some interesting visual storytelling there with the lights and everything, and then, their position, I guess, in the city now where,
Yep.
I wonder too if there's like this they're trying to display this disconnect between Kingpin and then the New Yorkers, right? And maybe that will be kind of his downfall as well, that he doesn't necessarily relate to the everyday New Yorker
Yeah.
anymore, right? And Matt Murdock or Daredevil does and always has, right? So that will be interesting to see how that plays out. But yeah, that went right over my head, I guess, when I'm watching that. And yeah, that's interesting visual storytelling, which I love when any medium does
Yeah.
effectively. It doesn't rely on like dialogue.
Yeah. It felt very reminiscent to the Obi-Wan show, the final scene between
Mm,
Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader. They used lighting very heavily to depict the emotion and the changes in that scene, and it
right.
felt very reminiscent of
Similar.
that.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks for bringing that up too. I like that.
Yeah.
So I guess overall, what would you rate this episode on a scale 1 through 10?
I would give it I'm gonna go with a stuck between a 7.5 and an 8. So let's go with like a 7.7 out of 10.
Okay. Um, I would give it a 6.5 out of 10. I
That's
was on
fair.
the verge of a 7, but I ultimately landed on a 6.5 out of 10. Um, it was besides the diner scene and some other moments, it was pretty forgettable. And we'll talk a little bit about episode 2, which I thought was also very forgettable, more so than the first. So yeah, I give it a 6.5 out of 10. I think it's if you're a fan of Daredevil from the comics or just the show, you're gonna like this. I think it's a definitely not. It's a step down though from the Netflix show. I think kind of across the board from every aspect, writing, the story, the shots I don't think are as well done. The cinematography,
I would agree. Yeah.
yeah, it does, and I think Jaquel mentioned too. It just seems a little like Disney Plusified, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, and it does. It feels a
But
little bit
on that
more.
note,
Yeah.
it's pretty violent for a Disney Plus show, though. Like, I will give its kudos in that regard.
Okay.
It's as adult focused as we've seen from them.
I don't know if I would agree with that.
Really?
From
With all the
well,
blood and Bullseye
yeah,
throwing knives through people's heads in
like
a bar?
you look at something like, and I think it's in the first season of Daredevil on the Netflix show. It could be the second with the mentor Sticks. Is that his name?
Stick, yeah.
Stick. Okay.
Yeah.
He's like getting tortured at one point, I believe. Like they've not done something like that, and I don't think they will.
Yeah,
As far
I'm saying as far as Disney Plus series go, this
okay,
is as
it's a,
adult as we've gotten from them.
okay. I see. Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
not
All right,
Netflix. Netflix was a whole nother
gotcha. Okay,
beast.
that's what I thought you were saying. It's as bloody and gory as
No.
intense as the Netflix show. But as okay, all right, yeah, I would agree then that it is as far as from like a violence standpoint, it's uh much more violent than any other Disney Plus show from Marvel. Although
Yes.
I haven't seen them all, I will say that. But I'll take your word for it. I believe you. Yeah, so we're almost kind of at the same rating. You like it a bit more, right? Which I think we
Mhm.
gathered throughout. Let me jump to some of the comments. I feel like I fell behind here. Um, let's see. Staring at the sun. Okay, so Alexander Miller brings up a good point. I like the Spider-Man mention,
Yep.
which I was that in the second episode? I think it was at the beginning of the second episode. Pretty sure. So
I
yeah,
think it was in the diner, wasn't it?
no, it was when he was giving his speech. He mentions he mentions vigilantes, and there's one with a Spider-Man costume running around, and then also he mentioned. I think he maybe mentions White Tiger. I think, but I could be wrong. I maybe I just missed it in the diner scene though. I could have just missed it. So let us know in the comments. Um, but anyhow, Spider-Man was mentioned. Well, we know that
Yeah.
for sure. So I did enjoy that. I thought it was cool. I don't think it would be awesome if he showed up. That would be incredible. If he showed up, now that I would be like, okay, I got to give this. I'll give this show like overall like an extra point just because of that. Like I would be very generous towards this show if the Spider-Man shows up. Oh, the Punisher reference that we got. Yes.
Yeah.
That's what it was, not the White Tiger. Yeah. So we got the Punisher who he was in the trailer, so he's going to be showing up at some point. So that will be interesting to see. Um, let's see what else we got. None of the plot is really surprising so far, but I still enjoy it. I don't need everything I watch to be the greatest, most uh, what's that word? Revelatory art of the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
I've never. That's a big word for me. I've never heard of that one. It's funny because I will say my this is a total sidebar, but I'm gonna go down it anyhow. My vocabulary is it's always been lacking. Like I've just never been good at spelling words, especially. And it's funny because my sister's the complete opposite. She's been always very good at vocabulary and spelling, but I haven't. But I've been reading these like prose books now, especially about like philosophy and just some nonfiction history books or whatnot. And there's a lot of words that I come across. I'm like, I got no idea how to pronounce that or say it, or I don't know what it means. So what I've been doing now is I underline it and I look up the definition. And what I really need to be doing also is going back and like making like flashcards to study them so I memorize them. But yeah, so I've been trying to learn my vocabulary. So what does revelatory mean?
Like, I don't know, like revolutionary, like uh impeccable, like I don't know, really, really
Okay,
good. Changing
gotcha,
who he is.
gotcha. Or reinventing, I guess maybe isn't similar vein.
Yeah.
Um, of that. So, but anyhow, I am trying to do better from a vocabulary standpoint. I will say
Yeah.
that because in comics, there aren't really too many words that I don't recognize, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Every one, maybe one word in like every trade or so, something like that. But
I'm with
it,
you. And when I first started making YouTube videos, I was determined to stop calling comic books just like good or whatever. So
sure.
one YouTube channel that's great to watch is Dominic at the Comic Book Report.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
He does reviews and he uses such just immaculate, huge words and
Yeah.
he like always admits it's like overkill, but like you just got to go for it. And
You just
I'm
gotta go
like,
for it.
man, I'm using that. I'm using that in my video.
He has a very nice voice too. I was listening to or watching one of his videos too, and like his voice was like relaxing me. I'm like, he should do like there's this app called Calm, I think. I don't use
Yeah.
it, but I think I've seen ads or whatever. And it's like guided meditation or whatever. He should like do that. I think he'd do great at that.
Yeah.
Um
We always say
anyhow,
his voice is just buttery. It's just so
it
buttery.
is. It is. And I think he just passed some milestone. I can't remember what it was. Maybe like
Yeah,
10,000
he's
subscribers?
flying.
Yeah. So congrats to you, Dominic. That's awesome. If you're
Yep.
watching or if you see this clip, congrats. Um,
But I do agree with uh Cycle Cleveland there.
in this comment, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
You don't need, yeah. I mean, I think if you go into any sort of like art, like a movie or TV show or comic, hoping that it's like the next Watchmen, whatever, or next Pulp Fiction, I think every time you're going to be disappointed. I don't think it's ever going to be revelatory, as Harvey Picarus would say. See, there, now that word's going to stick because I used it in a sentence. There we go.
He defines it further below, which we'll get to, but
Here, I'll skip ahead here real quick. Revelatory art means things that points to or reveals deeper meanings or insights into life or whatever. Revelatory just refers to revealing something. Okay, awesome. All right, where was I? Comments.
I don't know.
Here we go. Jaquel. The diner they both frequented was closed. It was the same one Foggy mentioned as they leave the firm in the beginning. Yes, it was closed down. That's
Oh,
right.
okay.
Yes, okay. I knew it was mentioned somewhere because I think they're at the beginning. They're in Hell's Kitchen, I believe. And
Yeah,
the
but they
firm's still
do
in
in
Hell's
the diner mention him and Kingpin that they don't go to Hell's Kitchen often.
Right.
So I think
Right.
that's what I was connecting it with.
Gotcha. Okay. Yes, that makes sense. Harvey Picar's Ghost. And Harvey Picar, you never answer my question whether or not you like American Splendor and Harvey Picar. I do have the book, the trade up here, right here. There we go. I do like the movie. Have you ever seen that movie with Paul Giamatti?
What is it called?
American Splendor. So it's a comic that Harvey Picar wrote, and it was just about his everyday life and just things that pissed him off and annoyed him. And he kind of exaggerates himself, and he's just kind of this character or whatnot.
I've
And they
not
made a
seen
movie. Yeah, you got to watch it. I think it's on HBO Max. I would definitely recommend it, especially you're a comics fan, so I think you'll enjoy it a lot. Just a good movie overall. Yeah, really good. Anyhow, it was super obvious to me as soon as the attacker on the subway revealed himself to be a cop that this was going to be become a trial where this guy is tried as a vigilante as a way for Kingpin to further his public support for his anti-vigilante campaign.
Yep.
Interesting. See, I would, for me, it was not that apparent right then and there. But that does seem like the route they're going for sure.
Yeah, I think it was overall like really, really obvious to a lot of like, comic readers and, just fans of Daredevil that when Born Again came out, people thought it was going to be a lot like Frank Miller's Born Again story. And then once we started learning details, people thought it was going to be like Charles Soule's run.
Right.
But
Okay.
I think what we're ultimately kind of looking at is something that's more or less going to mirror a little bit of all of them. But when it pertains to Fisk being mayor, I think we're going to have a little bit more of like Chip Zdarsky's run, specifically when it
Mm,
comes to the outlawing of vigilantes and people that are wearing masks and stuff like that. So I think we're going to see a little more of a modern run perceived in this show than what people were expecting.
cool. Interesting. All right. Illuminati, bro. Yes, that scene gave me chills seeing the light on them both and how they just stared at each other. Yeah, I don't know if they actually stared at each other. I don't think maybe they did, but it does kind of give you that feeling that they're both I think thinking about each other, not
Yeah.
romantically like, but they are thinking about each other. And of course, it was obvious Matt would be his lawyer, and it's all a proxy battle until it will devolve into an actual battle of Daredevil versus Kingpin. Yeah, I think you're right. I think you hit the nail on the head with that one. I love that fight. I'm not sure which fight. Probably Bullseye versus Daredevil, I imagine, but I could be wrong. The fight was good. The thing about Deadpool versus Wolverine that I hated was how really bad and played out all the action scenes were. All right, I feel like we're missing a part of the conversation here, but that's okay.
I think they're
Uh,
having their own side quest going on.
they must be awesome. I didn't find it to be Disneyfied at all. In fact, the most surprising thing to me was how really hard they went out of the gate. The first scene being so brutal.
Yep.
I would argue that it was still kind of Disneyfied. But anyhow, I'm going to need us to revisit this conversation after the finale. Maybe I'm just hopeful, but I think the show is going to live up to the height, both story and violence. We will revisit eventually. I don't know. We'll do like a show solely about it, like this one. Maybe we will if we think there's
Yeah.
enough to talk about. Who knows?
Could be the best thing both of us ever watched, and we're like, we got to do a show on it.
We got
You
to do
never
a
know.
show about it. I have my money on it not being that, but yeah, maybe there will be enough to talk about where we can be like, yeah, let's do another show on it. All right, let me. Sugar happy vigilantes with schools on the chest, men running around in spider costumes, and a devil with horns.
Yeah, he
Not
did say that
sugar,
during the
trigger.
speech.
Trigger happy vigilantes with schools on the chest. Yes, thank you for providing that direct quotes. And finally he answers. Of course, I love American Splendor. Harvey Picar. I live in his neighborhood and walk my dog in the big old cemetery. He is buried in almost every day and pay my respects. Oh my God, that's incredible. Wow. I think he lived in Cleveland. He definitely did because Harvey Picar's previous name was Psycho Cleveland. So
Yes.
we just doxed you. Sorry. I thought you were asking as a joke. No, I wasn't. My brother says it's not as bad as Gotham. Every live show I do, and it originated with one of our live shows, he always asks about Gotham. Like I had a guest on that I was interviewing week and a half ago now or so or whatever, and
Yeah,
he brought
Cosmic
it up.
Collector, right?
Comics, Cosmic Collector,
Yeah.
I believe. Yeah, he was a great guest to have on. It was awesome. And yeah, my brother brought that up, and we talked about Gotham for a little bit. Would you agree, though, it's not as bad as Gotham?
I don't think anything's as bad as Gotham.
That's a fair point you could make.
I think
Matt.
even you would agree with that. Anything, even Marvel now going on, it's not as bad as Gotham.
That's very true. I will. What about like She-Hulk? Do you think that was as bad as
I
Gotham?
I
You
like
liked it?
She-Hulk,
Okay.
so
I
I don't know. I'm
I
not in that
I
camp.
never finished She-Hulk. I will say that the episodes I did see, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did not hate it. Will you join in the Discord server for some rivals after the show? Possibly. I think I'm gonna eat some ice cream and like, oh my God. Another thing I wanted to mention to you when we brought up what we're watching and reading, I've been watching Futurama lately, and we talked about that on the show.
Yes.
When we talked about our shows we grew up with or whatever. And I said I tried to give it, I tried to watch it a few times and whatnot, and it never really stuck. But I will say I'm on like season 3 now, and
Nice.
I'm enjoying it. I don't know if I'm fully committed to it yet, but I do keep watching it every day. When I like to draw, so I'll turn that on and draw or whatever. And it's a good show to have on kind of in the background, and I watch it as I fall asleep. So I am enjoying it. I will say that. So
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
I
I
was
think
very
it's a good
excited to next
background
episode.
show, and but there is some that are like either full on belly laugh episodes or they hit you in the feels, and
Yeah.
those you'll find if you haven't already. I'm sure you've ran into some.
Well, there was the one about Fry's nephew that I will say I was like, damn,
Yeah.
that because I have a brother, right, who's in the chat, and
Yeah.
that story's about him and his brother, and I'm like, oh man, that gets me in the feels, yeah. So,
Yep.
and there was a one too that I I wouldn't say it got me in the feels necessarily, but it was a little more emotional. It was between Fry and Lena in like their relationship,
Yeah.
um, and like how they're always teasing like a romantic relationship, and I'm like, just do it already. But I don't know. And yes, so anyhow, I really like Futurama so far. I've been
It
enjoying it.
wouldn't be the show if we didn't have 47 other tabs opened.
I know, right? Exactly. It's part of the charm of the show. We've said this before.
Yeah.
Um, will you join in the Discord server for some rivals after the show? Maybe. Um, maybe I might hop in my Discord server, not the Brave and the Boys, and I may hang out in there. I've been playing some Elden Ring lately. I don't know. Have you ever played that?
Yes. I
Yeah.
almost
So
blinked on that. Yeah.
I started a new one, a new character or whatever. So I'm playing a little bit of that and whatnot. And but maybe Alex Xander, to answer your question, potentially. I might be too tired. Like you said, I think I'm gonna watch some Futurama and eat some ice cream after the show. Any plans to interview each Hall of Nerds member? Not at this moment. The only one I've been in contact with is Brandon, Cosmic Collector.
Yeah.
But potentially,
Speed
yeah,
Sultan, he's a good content creator. I really like his YouTube.
yeah,
And Noah, he was Ultimate Comics, and now I think he's Rogue Robin, but
yeah.
he's been around for a long time. He was actually part of the first Organic Price Books group chat, and he's still in there still
Oh
to this
wow,
day. So
no
he's a
kidding.
veteran.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's actually funny. I just looked at because I swear one of them added me on Discord and it was Rogue Robin.
Yeah.
I probably sent him a friend request or something at one point, and he just added me back like last week. So maybe I'll message him to see if he would want to come on. I could always reach out to Brandon too to have him get me in touch with some of those guys for an interview. So potentially Captain Underpants, yes, potentially. My brother loved She-Hulk, so you guys are in the same boat as far as that goes.
Nice.
Bloodhaven is the worst for the size of the city and only having one hero. All right, I feel like I don't know where that came from. I'll be honest, but awesome. Fun
I
fact,
do agree,
Harvey.
but I'm confused where it came from too.
I'm
But
confused, Alexander. Maybe he meant to type that in like OmniDog's chat or something. Maybe he's watching both and he typed it in ours by accident. Fun fact: Harvey's buried right next to Elliot Ness. John Rockefeller and James Garfield are buried in the same cemetery too. Who's Elliot Ness? Do we know who that is? All right, I
I
gotta
don't
look it
know.
up. Elliot Ness. American law enforcement agents. Okay, so it looks like he was known for bringing down Al Capone,
Oh,
and then
cool.
also Prohibition. Interesting. All right. The more you know. More of an odd fact, yes. Futurama is awesome. I'm like I said, I'm not fully committed to the show yet, but I'm getting there. I'm almost on the Futurama train. We'll see. Have you watched any of the new episodes? They revived it now on Hulu.
No.
Any plans to? Or you just kind of like
Yeah, I think if I did do it, I think I would rewatch Futurama and then get to that point. So I'm far away from getting to that stuff.
Yeah. There's a King of the have you ever watched King of the Hill?
I've watched episodes, but I've never like sat down and watched and understood what was going on. Very much a
I
background show for me.
Yeah, I really like King of the Hill a lot. That was one I started watching in college with some of my roommates, and I rewatched it this last spring of 2024, like April or May. I rewatched the whole series. And they're reviving that show, so I'm
Oh,
excited
cool.
for that. Jaquil, thanks for the show, guys. I'm headed out. Y'all just earned. Thank you. I appreciate you subscribing. Can't wait to join a combo one day. Yeah, absolutely. Um, I think She-Hulk will show up in DD Born Again. I don't know, man. I don't think so.
I
But
think
keep
She-Hulk's
dreaming.
kind of up in the air. I mean, I don't know if we even know where we're at with that character and her
Yeah.
progression and everything like that.
Well, she was in the concept art uh Doomsday. That's the name of the movie, right?
Yeah.
Doomsday, Avengers Doomsday. Yeah. So maybe she'll show up there, but yeah, I don't think we'll see her show up. I'll be honest. Might be too tired, Labruski. I think so. You had a variety to saying that you're tired. It was stated in some comics. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what he's talking about. I'll be honest. Peace and love, Alexander, man. You got to stay on track here. Peace and love. Peace and love. Um, we're almost at 2 hours. We have another episode to quickly talk about. I will say I don't have too much to say about this episode, so we can kind of
Me
fly
neither.
through this one if we want. Um, what do you think? Did you like it as much as the first? Not as much? Where do you kind of stand?
Um, I think I liked it a little less than the first.
Mhm.
I honestly, the peak of of that episode was seeing Kingpin's slimy side and how it's still present, specifically having to do with the commissioner of the police department. I really liked that
Okay.
scene. I thought it was sly. Thought it was slick. It felt very Kingpin-y. But I gotta agree with you. I mean, I was looking for a little bit more of a robust story of why he became mayor, why
Yeah.
the younger voters are pulling for him so much. I
Yeah.
think we're like beating around the bush and we're not finding out exactly why. And maybe it will be hinted on later in the season, but that's what I kind of wanted more of. I just wanted to
Yeah.
be like, okay, why do we vote for him though? I'm missing that part.
Yeah. I think it stated at one point that he he isn't like a traditional politician, so that's why maybe the younger voters are voting for him. And there was something that said that the older demographic didn't like him as much.
Yeah,
I can't
because
remember.
he didn't feature his wife in his
That's right.
campaign.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Okay, yes. So I do think we need a little bit more of an explanation as to why younger voters voted for him. Because as it
Yeah,
stands right now, I don't know if that doesn't really make sense to me. I mean, younger voters tend to vote more liberal, right?
yeah,
Um, and I don't think Wilson Fisk is somebody who screams liberal,
yeah,
or I don't think it's said like what's his political ideology is. I don't believe. Um, but I can't imagine he's super liberal or even lean towards that way. That'd be my guess, but I could be
they
wrong.
do reference in the first episode very loosely. It's like on a TV in the background that other people running for mayor are like very unpopular. Like one's a comedian or something like that.
Mm,
So it could be, the best choice that was there, maybe, and that's
right.
the only explanation we're gonna get is, oh, the other candidates are a comedian and a dog or whatever, So, I mean, I would like more than that, though. I think that's
I too would, yeah. Like I
a
said,
little
I think
lazy.
we should have gotten a full episode
Yeah,
or at least more time spent on it. Um, to see those other candidates, to see like why does it make sense? Like they should have tried to make the viewer like convinced that they might have voted for it if
Yeah.
was in real life. Like that should have been the goal. In the first 2 episodes or whatever. Like, why would we have voted for him? Even
Which
that'd
I
be a tough sell, but
I kind of did get that vibe that they were gonna go that route, but
yeah,
then I feel like they played their cards a little too quickly with the
yeah,
photo of the commissioner's family, and it's like, okay, well, never mind. I don't like him, right
right,
away.
exactly, exactly. It's like okay, he's still kind of up to his same old tricks, and yeah. So I didn't really understand that move either, if I'm being honest. Why? Like, I think they rushed that a little bit. Like they
A little bit.
should have strung us along and almost convinced us, like, oh no, he has changed. He's trying to do good. But obviously, we now know that no, he's still doing his same stuff. So I don't know. I think this second episode is more boring for me than the first. I
What's
don't
your
really
opinion
care.
on the last scene,
I'm trying to remember what was the last scene. Was that
the
with?
fight scene?
I can't even remember what it was. Remind me,
Uh,
jog my memory.
Matt versus the two cops in the apartment.
Okay, yes. Okay, yes, yes. I did think that was pretty well done. That was a good fight scene. I will say that.
I
Yes,
agree.
I did like that. Um, so we got a pretty good fight scene in this episode. Thank you for reminding me of that. I didn't really care much for the white tiger stuff, and like it just came off a little stale for me. I'm like,
Yeah,
whatever. It just seems like a plot device they're using to
yeah.
have Matt Murdock and Kingpin butt heads and whatnot eventually. So I thought it was a little slower. I, however, did like the direction they're taking with Kingpin's and Vanessa's relationship. I was surprised by that they're having issues and whatnot. And that I think it's interesting that they're going to marriage and counseling now too. I like
Yeah.
that. I think that's unique and interesting, and it's not just more of the same that we've seen from the Netflix show of them just being starstruck lovers and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I
I
like that.
also
I
like
like
that
that.
they portray the optics that they're going to therapy for the optics of the voters and the city,
Right.
So it's like even in this marriage counseling, something at its core that's so good and so, revolutionary to marriage,
Right.
like he has ulterior motives even to that.
For sure. Do you think Vanessa's in on that too, or do you think she is? You think
Yeah.
she is? I think
Yeah.
she is too. Like she's too smart of a character. It seems like to not be aware of like, oh, he's using this to try to mend the relationship, and then, but his real goal is to win over some voters and people of New York
I
City.
think they played their hand with her character, because when they first depicted her as like the queen pin, it was like,
Yeah.
oh, she's taking over for Wilson Fisk. But the scene that showed just how dangerous she is when Kingpin tells her that he knows she's been cheating on him, and she's not fearful for her life. I mean, she stares
Mhm.
him right in the eyes and says, "Don't kill him," and he says, "I'm not." But at no point is she shaking in her boots. I mean, I think
Right.
she has her own power established, and she is not afraid of anyone at this point.
Yeah, and that's fair. Maybe it'll come back to bite her in the butt. I don't know. We'll see. I kind of doubt that. Like, I don't think Kingpin's gonna take out his own wife, but I think that would be. I think that'd be another ballsy move for the show. I will say that.
Yeah,
I I think that could be done well too. I will say, like, yeah, maybe that
yeah.
will be what happens. He decides, like, all right, I got to get rid of Vanessa. She's cheating on me. She's doing no good. She
Like
thinks,
maybe Vanessa's moving into the role of queen pin. She's threatening Fisk to release, the red ledger, everything that he's done, and he just snuffs her out just to keep her quiet. That would be
that
pretty.
would be interesting. I will say I will say I kind of like that. Not from a domestic violence standpoint. Let me make that clear, okay? I just think that would make for an interesting story, okay? I'm not for husbands killing their wives. Don't do that. Okay. But I think it could make sense in the context of the story. And it could
Yes.
make sense for Fisk as a character, like maybe that will be the thing that propels him into being completely corrupt and being this just hardened criminal again
Yep.
that we've seen before. So I think that, yeah, I kind of like that, but not for the reasons. Yeah. Anyhow, I'm going to move on before this gets clipped or something. If it has not already. Good storytelling will make you feel for the villains in some capacity.
Yep.
Very true. Yeah. I agree completely. And I feel like I was just reading something that did a great job at making me feel for the villain, but I can't remember what it is now. I don't know. Maybe it'll come back to me. Yeah, to be honest, I really don't have too much to say about the second episode other than what I've said before. I thought it was not as great as the first, kind of more of the same though. I don't think it was like a huge downgrade or anything like that. Like it does it's cut from the same cloth for sure. So
Yeah.
and it hasn't like made me be like, I'm definitely not continuing with the show. Like I said, I think I will continue to watch the show weekly, if not just wait till the end to binge it all. I do plan on finishing this first season at least. And I do like the Netflix show a lot. And I do like Daredevil. And I like Charlie Cox as Daredevil and Matt Murdock. I think he's great in the role. And I like Vincent D'Onofrio. I think that's how you say his name, is the Kingpin.
Yeah.
I think he's great as the Kingpin. So I will definitely continue on, even just for those two characters. I think, to be honest, I think they're really the only characters I care about in any way. Like, I guess Vanessa a little bit too. I think she's kind of cool, but Foggy's out of the picture. Karen Page is out of the picture, seemingly. She's in
Yeah.
San Francisco, which we kind of didn't mention. Was She-Hulk, and this is kind of a sidebar, was that set in LA or San Francisco? Do you remember?
I think San Francisco.
Okay. Well, I just
Don't
bring
quote
that
me
up.
on it, but I think.
Well, yeah, I just bring that up because Daredevil does go to San Francisco in Mark Waid's run. So maybe we could see that eventually of him. Like I kind of think what's going to happen is Matt Murdock's going to be outed as Daredevil. I think that's what it's going to
Yeah.
that's what's going to happen. And so maybe that will be the catalyst that makes him move to San Francisco. And I think that's kind of what happens in Mark Waid's run. I believe. I could be wrong on that.
Yes. And also Karen
Similar.
Page is living in San Francisco. She says that in the
Yeah.
courtroom.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it would make sense if that's where he moves to.
Yeah.
And maybe that will be part of the second season or whatever, him on the West Coast. Although he was already there with She-Hulk, which I can't. Why was he there? Do you remember like what the reason was?
I think one of his clients he was representing lived there.
Okay, all right,
I think.
that makes more sense. They're both attorneys, so I guess yeah.
Yeah.
So it will be interesting to see if he does. I think like I said, I think the show is going to lead towards him getting outed as Daredevil. I think that's happened a couple times in the comics, and I think it makes sense. Especially now Kingpin knows who Daredevil is. If he starts kind of messing with Kingpin's plans, I think it would make perfect sense to be like, yeah, that's Matt Murdock, and tank his career and then also his personal life and everything like that. So I don't know.
Overall rating for episode 2?
5.5, I'd
Okay.
say. So, well, I don't, because 5 is like average. So I would say this is like average. So yeah, I'll go with 5.5 still.
So
Yeah,
a point difference between episode 1 and episode 2?
I'd say a point difference. I could go lower though. I could make the argument to go lower, but I won't. I'll be generous for the show and
That's
go
fair.
5.5. What about you? What would you give it?
I think I'm going to rescore episode 1 at 8.
Okay, wow.
So I'm going to go from a 7.7 just to an 8. And
Yep.
I think I'm
Okay.
going to go episode 2 a 7.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah,
I
so
think I'm gonna stick with
still point difference, obviously higher than you, but a point difference still the same. So we're kind of in the same realm a little bit.
for sure. But you liked it. It's interesting. I feel like for the most part, you tend to like more the shows and movies that we watch more than I do, especially when it comes to like if it's a comic book adaptation. Um,
Yeah.
maybe the exception being Creature Commandos. I think I like that one a little bit more than you, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're kind of on the same page about Invincible too.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
think
I
we
think that comes from, like we've talked about before. I've been into comics for so long, so it's like
yeah.
automatically anything superhero related like gets a 5, like just
Right.
from jump. But then it's also like, you got to think what you went to school for. You have a more cinematography, keen eye where you're kind of looking at it with a critical lens, where I'm like just a
Right.
fan,
Sure.
belted into my seat absorbing it, so it's a nice
It's
differing of opinion. So
yeah, no, for sure. For sure. I agree with that. Yeah. So I think that's going to do it for today's episode. We've been going for over 2 hours now.
yep.
Um, any last things that you want to mention about this show, about anything else?
Nope, just the usual final words of, even though me and Labruski are experts on everything that exists, of course, watch this show yourself, come
Yes.
to the conclusion for yourself. Critics are just critics. So form your own opinion on it, and then come in next show and let us know what you think.
Although our opinion, like you hinted at, is the correct one, if we're
Yeah.
being honest.
Yeah.
Even though
You,
it's
you,
not the
you
same
guys can have
opinion, it's
opinions. They'll just be
yeah,
wrong. That's all.
yeah, pretty much. Yes, everyone, go check out Illuminari's channel if you have not done so already. Link to that in the description below. Please like and subscribe to my channel. That would be greatly appreciated. And we will catch you in the next All in One Nerd Show. Take care, everyone.